Hello, today I'll be doing a Guristas 7 out of 10, the Guristas Military Operations Complex. So what's special about the ship I'm using? Usually we do them in a Tengu or something like that, but this time I'm using a Rook, so I cannot be detected on D-scan. It is a ham-fit Rook, Afterburner. You may need to... Shield Booster, you probably need to death space it. I use A-type to be safe, but with good skills, you could get away with using a B-type, Shield Boost Amp, 2 Shield Boost Amps, Cap Battery, and 2 Hardeners, Ballistic controls. And I'm mostly using Scourge Rage ammo, and I have drones to clear up small stuff. So let's get started, shall we? It's just good practice to set up eyes on the outgate of any site you do. So this is what I have done here. So that, because this is a scan sig, this way I can tell if somebody is warping in. Now the special thing about the Guristas 7 out of 10 is there are 5 pockets and each of them takes a while to complete. So yeah, a lot of this is just going to be shooting rats for a while. Make sure you bring lots of ammo. As you can see here, now I'm deploying the drones to fight the small stuff, destroyers, really. If you want, you can also use them to clear up the battle cruisers once you clear all destroyers, but it usually just saves me a step in locking them all up, so that way I can just focus on killing battle cruisers and battleships with my missiles. If you were to use, say, a Tengu to run this, you would have to lock up and shoot every single destroyer individually, and yeah, it's just a bit more work. So I'm lazy, so I just do this. Battleships take a while to die, so you may have to... I think I fired around 18 or so cycles at them. Battle cruisers, they die in 4 cycles, sometimes 3 if you're lucky. So yeah, just it helps if you just count, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I can see the first room took a while. This isn't a short site. There's a total of 5 rooms. The last room you can headshot, but it's difficult to headshot the boss, I guess you could say. It's not a quick site, but the payout is sometimes worth it. Also, there are a total of 3 ships that are worth looting the final boss, and then there are 2 Dread Guristas rats in the 4th and in the 3rd and the 4th room. Those rats again have chances to drop faction modules and the like, so they are very much worth ratting. Very much worth looting. And besides, they have, I think, 10 times higher bounty than normal, so you make a decent profit. It's not as lucrative as one of the higher DEDs. I guess technically, depending on drop, it could be more profitable since you get 3 chances to have a good drop instead of the usual just 1. So yeah. These sites, if I'm not mistaken, they escalate from Forsaken rally points, which aren't really that commonly run, I want to say, so it's usually easier to find them by scanning down cosmic signatures, which again is how I found this site. And yeah. Just finished the second room, as you can see here. It took a while. It's been half an hour since I started recording, so yeah, this site takes 15 minutes or so per room. Next site, if I go pull it up here, this is the third pocket. Oh, these are the list. The first pocket is run. I do not believe there are this many battleships. I think it's 12 total, not a total of 19. So yeah, there is a single Dread Guristas cruiser here. Again, it may drop faction. Fourth pocket has a Dread Guristas battleship, which is more valuable. And the last room is this. Just to note, there are ships that will jam here. It's honestly more of an annoyance than anything. You just have to burn there and kill the jamming ship, which would be easier if I wasn't flying something with 20 kilometers of range. The last room has two things that web you. The Guristas Stasis Tower, I'm pretty sure it spawns 50 or so out, or something like that. And this ship can go up to 1k per second. And it also webs. I have pulled up its stats here. It's pretty tanky. It's a lot of stats. If I were to, for example, pull up a regular battleship. It only has 6k, 4k, 4k. This has 12k, 10k, 42k, so it's several measures tankier than the rest. Well, time to start the third pocket. And as you can see, I just got jammed. Yeah, so it's just annoying, honestly. You would be in the middle of shooting something. The good news is if you were, say, using an Ishtar or Curse or drone bolt, they honestly doesn't need a lock. So it's fine, but since I'm using a missile bolt, it's just a bit annoying. And I can't snipe it since range. But it looks to be going down pretty quickly, so hopefully before it can jam me again, my drones kill it. What I was saying about it dropping good stuff, this is a decent drop. Usually, I just grab brass tags just because you never know, and a Gila blueprint. Before, I think a couple years back, it was like 200, 300 mil per, but now I think they're only like at most 30 mil or so, but still, that's a pretty decent drop. This is why even if you can't finish the site, it's still decently lucrative to run just because of the fact that you get faction spawns, guaranteed faction spawns. And because the wreck, usually you would salvage the wreck as well because it has a chance to give tech to salvage, but since this is a scanned site, in case I lose control of the site, I'm just being petty, really. Just, if anybody chases me off the site, they don't get the wreck. That's basically it. Okay, we're approaching the fourth room. Right now, the fourth room is a bit special. There are two ships at ECM. The Dread Guristas Commander and a ship called a Pithum Exterminator. Oh, that's a big fleet. This ship and this ship. So what you want to do is you want to straight up burn for them at the start because you can't really kill them with drones. So you kind of have to kill them manually. At the start, just burn for them. And yeah. Okay, that's a big feat. Fortunately, I was lucky with the ECM up, and there goes my luck. So yeah, it's just a bit annoying having to constantly relock these things. Now this thing, because I got ECM, it's probably going to rep a bit. Not that much, but it's just annoying really. That's why you want to get rid of the ECM rats first. Of course, if you were using the drone boat, this wouldn't be an issue. You could just set your drones on aggressive, and then just walk away for like 15 minutes or so, and then when you come back, the room will be finished by itself. But what's the fun in using drones? Okay, I'm about to enter the final room. As I said before, there's a stasis tower that webs. It is important that you kill the stasis tower as quick as possible, so you can at least burn a bit out of range. The boss battleship does web as well, so in the end, the thing is the Rook is mostly sig tanked. As you see here, my sig isn't the smallest, but it's better to just be a bit safer. Now the stasis tower is a bit out of range. My drone range only extends to 54, so I have to burn in close a bit. And it's already with me. So yeah, always have your Afterburner on this room because you want to sig tank as much as you can. As you can see, those are pretty high damage numbers. The boss battleship is this, the Guristas commanding officer. Okay, once you have it out, you want to align this way, and then just go for a while with your prop mod on. As you can see, the damage is starting to hurt a bit, so you want to kill this stasis tower as quickly as you can so you can get your transversal back up. It's not, but it's decent enough that it will hurt if. So yeah. Now the easiest way to do this is just recall call the drones because they're going to go after the destroyers. And the way I find it easiest to do is to kite out a bit. Because the Dread Guristas rat is innately faster than all the other ships. Like the battleships, they can only go 130 or so. Dread Guristas can go up to 1k, even though I usually see the average around 500. So we'll kite out a bit, and then it takes a while to kite out. And then once you're like, I would say to be safe, you want to be at least 200 from the battleships. That way they can't really hit you. Once you're at that range, you can turn around and start hitting that thing, because the battleships, they shoot torpedoes, which they don't seem like they would do a lot of damage, but that's because you're flying a ship that's not... Torpedoes are meant to hit battleships and you're flying a cruiser. So yeah, sig radius and velocity means that they aren't applying properly. So, but if, for example, your velocity were to drop, they would start hurting a lot more, as you could have seen during that short time there when I was taking... Like here, now I'm only taking 7, 11, 8, 19 damage from those. Back then I was taking 54, very high damage numbers. It doesn't seem like a lot because I have a lot of health, but that's basically 4 to 5 times the amount of damage I'm currently taking, and my shield was nearly going to break. My reps were not powering through that much DPS. So yeah. As you can see here, the Pithum Enforcer, which a lot of the battlecruisers are Pithum Enforcers or so. For example, the battlecruisers have around effectively 58 kilometers range, where the guns really don't matter, it's the missiles that hurt a lot. If you were to, if a soldier, for example, 88-kilometer range. Revolter, 94-kilometer range. That's why you want to be at least. You could turn around at 100, but I don't think you kill enough quick enough, so I would rather be 200 to be safe. The battleships. We have a lot of massacres. You're not getting out of their missile range. It's not even worth it to try. That's just way too long. So, but the turrets aren't going to hit, and yeah, you can still relatively safe tank them. You just have to, I mean, there aren't a lot of, there's one of that, two of that, the rest are conquistadors and destroyers. Which, if you look here, the conquistadors, they have effective 180, 130 or so their missiles, and again, we want to be at least 200 out, so they're not in range. And the destroyers, they're 315 again, but again, you should be fine. You're basically notifying a good chunk of the DPS. Notifying nearly all the battle cruisers. All the destroyers are already nonsense notified, and notifying basically all the battleships except 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just need to take the DPS of this boss, rat, and 5 battleships. It's much easier than, and you will be well doing that, but since you're only taking 6 ships, instead of taking this entire room while webbed, it's much easier. Okay, so I just want to pull a bit more range from here, just give myself a bit of leeway in case anything does go wrong. To note, there are no points, so if you ever do mess up, you are able to just warp out, warp back in. I would recommend doing it if you have any reason to. The boss rat, it does do kinetic damage, a lot of kinetic damage. My fit, I use the Thermal Hardener and a Kinetic Hardener. If you want to replace that with just 2 Kinetic Hardeners, that will work as well, and honestly, it might even do slightly better than this. That being said, I am flying a Tech 2 cavalry ship, so my base resists are already pretty high. 70 thermal, 63 kinetic. If I were to fly like an Ishtar or something like that, they will be even higher. And then I'm just waiting for this cruiser, 20 kilometers or so, and then I'll turn around and start shooting the boss. Also, this is a way to just keep yourself safe because there's no gates in here. If somebody does follow you into the site after here, everybody warps in at the beacon. You're already 275 off the beacon. You can easily warp out in time. I mean, unless they're micro warp fit. If they're also Afterburner fit, they're not gonna catch you in time. If they're micro warp fit, then again, you can just warp off. It's just good to be safe as well. Make yourself so that you can't really get shot at. Okay, this should be far enough. Now you just turn around. All DPS on the boss. I have found, while using an Ishtar for these sites, the boss, there does seem to be some sort of ECM or some kind of mechanic going on where the drones suddenly stop aggroing the boss. I have no idea why, but it's just slightly annoying, and if you are using a drone boat, that's just something to watch out for. While you're within 20, so that will be in your ham range. You could, if you wanted to, you could try to use faction hams, which have, I think, 25 kilometer range, but I don't find that worth it. It's easier to just tank it instead. As you can see, the damage number is starting to pile up a bit. For this entire set, you want to have your Afterburner on, that way you can mitigate as much of that damage as you can. As you can see, destroyers still aren't in range. This is still 150 off. These are still 150 off. I did go a bit further out than you normally need to, but it's better safe than losing your ship. Of course, there are massacres which have decent bounties. If you don't want to Ishtar spin in a rock, then in a rock haven or the sort, then you can just clear out this room. I just don't find it to be worth it. Personally, since I'm not using a ship that's really optimized for ratting, well, for tick ratting like the Ishtar is, because it even has less DPS than the Ishtar. It's not exactly the best at what it. It's not the best at clearing these escalations. It's just the safest choice, really. Well, the safest choice in like being safe from other people finding you. A curse should also be able to do these sites, but I haven't tried yet. And there we go. The rat's dead. You can now just go and scoop its loot, and yeah, that's how you run a 7 out of 10. It's not bad this time. I should mention, while there is a point in salvaging Dread Guristas rats, there isn't really a point salvaging this wreck. It doesn't really give good salvage. And I think it only gives like base Guristas salvage, so yeah, no Tech 2. At least I haven't gotten Tech 2 for it. Most Dead Space rats are like that. And yeah, that's how you run the site. It's like an hour and 30 minutes in this Rook. Of course, if you were to run it in a faster ship, it would be much quicker, but yeah. Thanks.